Welcome to the Sustainability Management Association's webinar on We the People Switch with our speaker, Lee Bothell. And just to give you a short introduction to sustainability, we believe that we can manage organizations with a healthy environment, a healthy community, and healthy business practices based off of values and ethics that we can do good in this world by doing well and doing good for others and our stakeholders to make sure that we meet the expectations of all of our communities. And we truly believe that it's up to each one of us to be able to make our communities better through partnerships and working together. And we call it transforming leadership. And so our purpose is just teaching the knowledge, skills, and abilities needed for sustainability management, that we believe that we can make sure we manage organizations for three resources: people, planet, and profit, not just profit. And we offer membership services and we certify professionals in sustainability. And a lot of that has to do with key performance and around our SMART goals on people, planet, and profit, and being able to learn how to manage those metrics very well and create change in your organization for, say, energy efficiency, or the ability to look at water management or social responsibility programs, employee assistance programs, and so forth. If there's anyone on the call today from a certified professional, if you'd like a continuing education unit for today's call, please send me an email and I'll have my email address a little bit later on, and I'll your CEO certification. So our members, we're in 38 states and 33 countries around the world, and we welcome all professionals who manage for social responsibility and a healthy planet, and being able to understand what our impacts are on people, planet, and profit. So this just gives you a little bit about certification, and again, it's really strategy. What is our long-term vision of how we'd like our community to be economically stable and thriving, and how can we make sure that we are stewards of our environment and stewards of the people who live in our communities. And all of this is in a study guide, and that is available through Kendall Hunt Publishing, and has all of the practice quizzes and exercises to help you learn how to manage sustainability. And so if you'd like to, please contact me. Here's my email address, or you can contact me through the website and let me know if you'd like more information about getting certified and adding that competitive advantage to your resume. So thanks for joining our call today. We believe in transformation, and today's call is so important as we talk about what makes America special, and that's our entrepreneurs and the spirit of being able to work in a free market where people choose what it is that they believe the products and services that will be successful through demand to satisfy a need. And so if we can transform our organizations to be able to meet that need and do well by other people, that is our hope, and that is our mission as an organization. So I'm going to stop share. And Lee, I don't know if you'd like to bring up your video and share screens with us while I continue to introduce you. And so Lee Bothell has an amazing background, and she joins us today because she has started an initiative called We the People Switch. And I just happened to run across her website, and her mission statement is that we can have choices and that we can control how we live our lives. And in a period of massive change across the globe, through the pandemic and the lockdowns and coming out of that, and many geopolitical issues that we're facing today, sometimes it feels so overwhelming that you wonder, what can I do? And what we can do is meet people like Lee and be able to work together and to collaborate and to make sure that we are supporting our American businesses, and or wherever you might live, that you're supporting businesses within your own country, and being able to support that, foster creating new jobs, being able to be a part of that and being able to decide what you put into your body and what you bring into your home and into your workplace as to the products that we select and the companies that we choose to spend our dollars with. And every dollar that we spend is a vote to that company that says, we believe in what you do. And so it's a pleasure to introduce you to Lee Bothell. And Lee, if you'd like to take it over from here. Just one note to the audience, please just chat any feedback you have throughout the presentation and any questions you'd like to ask Lee. And then at the about 10:45 Pacific time, we'll go ahead and start the discussion. So Lee, turning it over to you.
That's great. So I'll just start with this video.
So Lee, if you can, go ahead and click stop share. And then on the bottom left-hand corner on Zoom, there will be a little button that says share sound.
Share sound, my apologies.
Gotcha, no worries. So let's just back
Missed
that
that
up
one.
and start that over. Thank you.
Sure.
And
it's change, it's hope, and it's the future. Because it's people taking control of their own lives. What are you putting in your home? What are you putting into your children's bodies? What are you putting into your own body?
we all want to make a difference in our country and make change, but we don't all have the ability to do so. A lot of people are busy. They can't join school boards. They can't get on borough council, but they can change where they shop. And it's just shopping. It's that simple.
We're all collectively gathering and we're linking arms and we're making a stand. And that stand is that we want to bring manufacturing back to the USA. And by doing that, it means that we're going to stop shopping at those big box stores and we're going to link arms and we're going to shop right here at this American factory.
So Angela, thanks for having me today. I've enjoyed our conversations. You know, we've talked a few times in preparation for today, and Angela asked me to share some of my background. So we had a chance to get to know each other a bit, and she has an amazing background. But I hope today, with what I share, if nothing else, it inspires you. It maybe inspires you to open your mind to new thoughts, to encourage you to, you know, question what you believe to be truth and maybe take a different look at things. So, you know, how did I get here? I had an opportunity to play lacrosse in college at Penn State, and it taught me a lot, and it was a great opportunity, and the landscape then looks much different than college athletics today. But the things that it taught me were grit and determination and overcoming and teamwork, and, you know, that I had a unique contribution as part of that, that I could celebrate. And so that was a tremendous gift. And I took that into the workplace as I got started in my career. And I started at Dow Chemical, you know, a very old company, very obviously, you know, some people may object to the type of company that they are, but a very structured company. And so I started to realize that, you know, what I had experienced wasn't the way the real world was, but each step we take and each choice we make takes us down a path and leads us to something else. And so these experiences, going from a sales training program at Dow to selling golf cars, which is uniquely different, and from there going to Dale Carnegie training and selling training to businesses for their employees, you know, bits and pieces of each of these brought me a little bit closer to an understanding of what was important to me and how I could do what I loved and find a way to be paid for doing that. So from there, due to some life changes and having to take care of some things with my family, I went to work in the home building industry. And, you know, I have this slide back here, the housing crash is here. I went to the home building industry right at, you know, in 2006, just before the housing crash, and I stayed in that industry. I still do some consulting in that industry today, but I stayed in that industry full time all the way through 2015. So it was interesting because the harder you worked, the more work you got, and oftentimes people wear 2 or 3 hats, and they're looking to for a way to get ahead, for a way to take care of their families, for a way to buy their first house, for something that they feel is meaningful, and it doesn't always end up looking like we think it will. So again, you know, it sent me looking, and when COVID came along and people started working remotely, I had the unique opportunity to move and start to rethink how I wanted my life to be. And, you know, at that point I was 50, and being 50, you start to think about, you know, what are you going to do? And you go from striving to be successful to wondering, you know, if there's anything you're going to do that's significant. So that took me to what we call the Low Country. I'm talking to you today from Beaufort, South Carolina. And I started a career in real estate photography, basically taking my experience from the home building industry and marrying it with my passion of photography, and started to do that along with some of the other things that I was doing. And so as life slowed down and I started to get out of the busyness that we find ourselves so caught up in, society pulls us into that, you know, whether it's trying to get ahead or whether it's trying to help our children to get ahead so that they can get into schools and get scholarships and do all these things and compete. You know, we started to step back from that. And then the election came and everything went sideways again. And we started talking about, you know, what can we do to make a difference? How can we make this better? And not because we were of one affiliation or another, but because this was impacting all of us as a community. And if we want to make change, it has to start with us, and it has to start local. And I think that if anything we've realized in the last 5 years is that that is the key. You know, we can feel like we can't make a difference, but we can, and we have to do what we can and trust that people doing what they can creates a synergy, and that change starts to happen. So that's basically what brought me to where I am today, being in that space, thinking that I didn't want life to be so busy. I realized that it was partly that, but it was more that I wanted it to be meaningful. So I had a friend call me and say, you know, we've found a way to make a difference, and we need your help. You know, we're rolling out a project, and we're basically going to help people switch their shopping, you know, because we keep giving our money to these big box stores. And what we saw through COVID is basically what had been going on for 4 decades, but in hyper mode. And that was that the mom and pop businesses were getting pushed out of our communities, and the big box conglomerates were taking over. And every day we were conditioned to go to the store and give our money to the Jeff Bezos and the Waltons and, you know, all of these wealthiest people on the planet, but nobody was really taking care of us. So they were essential. The mom and pops weren't. They had to close. They couldn't recover. Many of them went out of business. And you know, and that's the landscape of today. So how do we make change? How do we find a way? When you walk down the aisles of the stores, these bigger box stores, whether it's Target or Walmart or Costco or wherever, you see all these brands and we think we have a choice. We see them advertised all the time over and over again on television. And really the revenues of these brands filter up to just 11 companies. And these 11 companies are publicly traded. So they answer to shareholders. And those shareholders are in large part Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street, who subscribe to the tenets of the World Economic Forum and don't have our best interests in mind. but we think we have a choice, and we're conditioned to believe these are good choices because it's what we see, it's what's on the shelf, it's what's in front of us all the time. But that's maybe not the case. So, as people become aware and they try and support smaller companies, one of the challenges is that these larger companies have bought out many of them already. So they still operate under the brand name of Seventh Generation or Myers or Tom's, but we're not helping Bert and his bees because they sold out to Clorox over 10 years ago. So that, we can't fault them because they were entrepreneurs and they built big companies and they were paid well for them. But where does that leave us? And so when we couple that with the fact that a lot of these products contain harmful chemicals, Johnson and Johnson's been sued for asbestos in baby powder several times. We've had, a number of different sunscreens taken off the market because they contain benzene. Why is it that these ingredients are in these products and that they actually make their way to the shelves? And it's not until someone's sick or injured that we figure it out. We think it's okay to put locks on our doors for products that we don't want the kids to get into or the pets to get into, but that's not normal. We just have been accustomed to believe that it is. So when you look past that, how do you make change and how do you make a choice? And we're not looking to replace the mom and pops. We want to continue to support them in our communities. It's critical that we do that. The farmers markets, the local, anything that's local that we can support, but there's still a number of products, if we think through our daily routine, that that are packaged that we have to go to the store to get. And where can we partner with someone to get those that they aren't going to sell out, that they can scale? The supply chain struggles are real, and being able to compete in that space is difficult. But there is a company in North America that can do that, has been doing that for 40 years, has over 2 million shoppers, and there's about 20 million people that are making that switch to shop with them as one of the places to get the things that they need. So, we look at it as our civic duty to shop with companies that support American jobs and families, that make their products in the U.S., that make a concerted effort for anything that they don't make in the U.S. to switch that over. And that's what we found here, vertically integrating in a lot of cases. So they're shipping direct to your door in one box, as opposed to what you might do when you shop at Amazon. If you have Prime, it's free shipping, but you get 6 different boxes and different days, and you have to break down those boxes and make sure that they don't get swiped off your porch and those sorts of things. So what we're talking about is basically a parallel economy. So we take our impact, each household about $2,400, and we look at what can we do if we band together, if we lock arms as the regular everyday folks and we switch our shopping. So if just 10% of the companies in the U.S. would do, or of the households in the U.S. would do that, we're looking at a $30 billion economy. So when you think about that, you can realize the power that these other conglomerates have. That's just 10% of that space. So with that type of backing, or with that type of synergy, where we can start to leverage that and start to dictate what we want to see in the marketplace, what we want in those products from this manufacturer or any others. So what we look at is a different business model, where we're used to seeing everything go from the factory to get shipped everywhere and to put it on the shelf. And then we go buy and we put it in a bag and we take it home. And, the 63% on the dollar is that process, not the product. So what if we eliminated that and shipped direct, and we're able to put that portion of the dollar into the quality of the product, and we actually had the consumer in mind, and we put out safer, healthier products for each of us to use and for our families. And that's really what caught my attention. And so, did I think about being in the shopping space? No, not really, but it makes sense, and it's something that each of us can do. And it checks a lot of boxes in terms of civic duty, taking care of our health and our home and our family, and also opportunity to get in community with others and have a viable business with repeat income. So we look at, using things in nature, perfecting them with science, starting with natural ingredients, not synthetic ingredients, investing in the quality and the testing, not bringing anything to market until it can compete or is superior to what's out there and that is cost effective. So we have no unsafe fragrances, no formaldehydes, no parabens. I can't even say the word, phthalates, and the synthetic dyes. All those things that we're so used to seeing in products aren't there. When you look at the cleaning products, it's even more critical. No chlorine bleach, no ammonia, and you can run down the list there, the parabens, the formaldehyde. These are all things that are in, Dawn dish soap, for example. Many people use it. Many families have used it for generations, and it has 3 carcinogens in it. So if you're using it, by all means, use it with gloves, but why not try something else? So there's over 400 products that we represent, and they're same dollars, better spent, higher quality, better for your home and your health. When you look at sustainability, I mean, this is, we talk about our civic duty to choose where we choose to spend our dollars, how we vote with our dollars, per se. Here, we're talking about working with a company that has sustainability in mind. It should be part of the equation for everybody. So when you look at this, we're talking about concentrated products. We're talking about less waste because we've got smaller containers. We're not shipping our carbon footprint smaller because we're not shipping as much weight all over the country because it doesn't have that unnecessary water in it. So there's all kinds of ways that we can make an impact. When you look at a lot of the products you normally see on the shelves, they're all 85, 90 to 94% water. And it's just not necessary. So it not only saves and is better for the environment, but it's also better for our wallets. And when you look at the recent independent study about lung damage, basically using those type of cleaners once a week is like smoking a pack of cigarettes a day, which is kind of unbelievable, but true. So, for anybody that's in that space, cleaning houses or whatnot, it's something to really think about. I don't keep as clean of a house, so maybe it's more like a half a pack of cigarettes if I were to do that, but nonetheless. And then products like Soluguard, which is kills 99.9% of viruses. We don't have to use Clorox. We just have always been told that's what you do. Use chlorine bleach to kill germs. Well, you don't need to. You can use citrus and the herb thyme. So it's simple things like that we may not be aware of. So it's set up pretty much like a shopping club where you have an annual membership. You can shop for items, what you need, when you need it, or you can set up a monthly membership and get a discount for doing so. Basically, that helps with the cost effectiveness of the products because the manufacturer is able to even flow their production, plan their production based on the usage. Then we've got fresher products on the shelf and a more efficient supply chain because they're not stocking a bunch of products in their warehouse. Everything is heading out the door within 24 hours of placing an order. So from a business side, when you look at today's economy and where things are headed, everybody needs income for different things. We've all realized the cost of groceries, at least 3 times more than it was 2 years ago. And we've started, we're looking at inflation continuing to go up and all of these additional costs that we're having. How do we maintain our lifestyle? How do we get ahead? How do we buy our first home? How does it all work? And this is something that is an option. Most people just shop here, but about 15 to 20% of people decide to refer other shoppers and make an income, either to offset the things that they're buying, the cost of the goods that they're buying, or to actually start another revenue stream that actually provides repeat income as they continue on. So those options are available, and it's simple. We don't, with the cost of housing these days, we don't want more house than we can afford. here we don't carry inventory, we don't make deliveries or orders. All we're basically doing is referring people to the shopping club and getting a thank you check for doing that. So it's a different way of doing business. We don't do any billing or collection. It's just simply creating community, showing people a great way to take care of themselves and have a safer home and a healthier body, and put money where we're backing U.S. manufacturers, we're backing U.S. jobs, and we're not giving it to people that don't have our best interests in mind. So those are, a number of different options that are available. But again, what we're talking about is the concept of a parallel economy. So we have a way we've been conditioned to shop. We have a way we've been conditioned to live. What if we do things differently and we make a statement with something as simple as where we shop? So that's really the thought. And the byproduct of the last 2 years that we've been growing this business is that we've come in contact with people all across the country. And as we continue to grow, we continue to hear their stories and their experiences and help them to problem solve their situations, whether it's a health concern or a money concern or any of a number of things. They can find answers here and we can stay connected. And as time goes on, being connected is more and more important because we only have so much time in the day. We try and research and make the best choices we can. But when we lock arms together and do something as simple as shop, we also learn from each other and we inspire each other, and we are able to create a synergy, and the creative thinking leads to more things. So this is just a piece of what I do in my day, but meeting people like Angela leads me to further my thoughts and think, oh, well, how, who else do I know that can benefit from sustainability management? Can I take advantage of that? And so that's in every conversation, that's an opportunity. So I would encourage you, if you want more information or you want to have a continuing conversation, then, by all means, reach out to me. You can reach us at wethepeopleswitch.com. And, it's just getting ourselves open to looking at different ways of doing things. And we call it consumer insanity when we keep giving our money to people that don't align with our values and expecting things to change. So I encourage you to think about that when you head to the store next time. And by all means, reach out if you'd like to know more or like to continue the conversation. And hopefully we'll have time here today to talk further about that. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you so much, Lee. Really like the code words today. Everyone's talking about the parallel economy. That, just like you said, I have to admit, in business school and going through my learning process, becoming an adult and understanding, what is it that I believe is important about businesses today. And one of those is really a passion for what it is that you sell as a product or a service. And when we talk about the parallel economy, that's really what I hope to get across to our audience today, is that it's our entrepreneurs and our business owners that are creating sustainability within their communities. And like you said, linking arms together to be able to connect and to create a very strong economy where we can decide where our dollars go. Because a lot of the times these big corporate companies, they have to respond to their shareholders, and they're, moved in those directions. And so as we create the ability to have choices, I hope everyone on the call here today will think about, how can I make a difference in the future? And how am I able to sustain not just my own local community, but America? And I think it's so important to really go back to, let's manufacture in America And the reason we can't is because there's so many chemicals used, right? And we manufacture all our automobiles and CFL light bulbs and whatever overseas and damage the natural environment because we're not allowed to manufacture here. Well, companies like yours that we're able to say, well, we're not having mini plastics, we're not having parabens and all kinds of chemical dyes that have been proven to have all kinds of adverse health impacts. And not only to the environment, but to our bodies, right? What do we put into our bodies? And these forever chemicals, how do they interact with each individual person and how you live your lifestyle? What is the end result? And the accumulation over time of putting toxins, chemicals, forever chemicals into your body, it kind of reminds me of the story. Many of you may know, but I teach sustainability management. And in 2008, the manufacturing community was really getting a lot of pressure to take bisphenol A or BPA out of products in plastics in particular. And plastics, as you all know, probably that this is the way that the fuel industry closes the loop, that they use 100% of materials when they pull the oil out of the ground, they refine it into diesel, aircraft, and gasoline. And then they use the residual, I call it sludge, to make plastics. And then we put a bunch of chemicals into there. One of those would be bisphenol A to make it really hard so that it holds its shape. And so these are plastics 3 and 7 and food grade plastics too that are labeled microwave safe. And when they get exposed to heat or light, such as a water bottle sitting on a dock waiting to get on a cargo ship, and then they're going to be transported at 220 degrees across an ocean, and then gets to your store and sits out on a pallet in the sunshine, that has leached into the water. And so, but my long story short, the BPA was replaced with a benzene ring. It's a 6-benzene ring, and it is highly carcinogenic and known to cause cancer. And so can we not make things worse, right? And so as we look at sustainability from not only what's in the product, but the packaging and how you can reduce fuel usage by increasing volume with concentrated products and post-consumer or pre-consumer waste in that packaging material, we can make a huge difference in, does anyone on this call recycle? Can you raise your hands on the call? Anyone recycle, or you can go to the reaction bar. Thank you, Julio. I'm so glad that you do that. That's it. Just Julio. Oh, Christina, you recycle. Thank you, Enzo, for recycling. So every time you all recycle, we take that material, right? The manufacturers, and this is a huge infrastructure collaborative happening right now. Some companies are the U.S. Plastic Pact, a nonprofit that's working with, from big to small, to say, how can we keep our plastics here, remanufacture them here, and then recycle and put them back out to market? So for everything that you recycle, I mean, we do a really good job with cardboard in the United States, but that's about it. And so when we're thinking about sustainability and product design for all of our callers today, this is a wonderful way to think about the whole life of that product, from raw material all the way to disposal of that packaging. And, it's funny that you brought up what brands were bought by whom. And I didn't know Myers was bought out. I really thought I was, supporting a very green company. And, I went to go buy a refillable jug because I have all the, the soap containers and the pump action things. And I just wanted to fill up my jug, and all you get is, a jug that has one bottle full. It's not bulk. It's not going to help me out in any way except to replace the actual pump. And so I was like, well, what's the point of that, right? So can we respond to, if we have a green consumer, can we respond to what they want? They want to be able to refill their soap dish, right? And they don't want to buy 17 soap bulk packaging that's only going to be one
Right.
dispenser. And so,
Right.
common sense is always a great way to look at product design too. So with that said, I know we have some comments from the audience that I'd love to read to you. And it looks like, Danica, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you've heard of Melaleuca and that you and your family have used these products. And when I think about, you know, when we stress that change comes locally and from reaching out across the aisle and finding that common ground between people where we know that we want safe products for ourselves, for our children, and for our whole family. And then we're literally, I was at the university on Monday, and they had just mopped the floor with some kind of material to make the floor shine. And it was so noxious. I got a headache. My eyes turned blood red, and we're not able to open the windows, and there's no ventilation. And so I talked to the gentleman and I asked him, is there any way to vent this? Because can you smell how the chemicals are just so prevalent? And he's like, I'm fine. And I'm so then he ended up just turning on the fan and just blowing the chemicals around. And I was like, well, that's actually making it worse. And so where we work and spend all day, can we think about how can we do so in a healthier way with better air quality than to put those chemicals, like you were saying, it's equivalent to smoking a pack of cigarettes. And so
Yeah.
really
When you're trying to clean your shower and you have to spray your shower and then run out of the shower to wait for it to dissipate before you go back in to finish cleaning it, that's probably a sign you should find something else to use.
That's
Or
probably
when
a
you
good
walk down
sign.
that aisle in the grocery store, the same thing, it's the
I've
more you get
started
away
using
from.
the rule of thumb because I encourage you all to start reading your labels, okay? Everything that you have in your home. And the first thing you can look for is if you swallow or put this in your eye, what are the emergency protocols, okay? That's pretty much all you need to read. And then to learn about what are some products that really work. And with plant-based science, there's nature has created the design of all solutions, right? That every species on this planet, probably except for humans, do not foul the place in which they live. And there's a whole system of composting and regeneration and rebirth. And, we tend to just take all of that for granted. And so there's a lot of solutions out there that nature already provides to us. I wanted to get to this question from Julio, and he asked, what are some of the challenges you have faced when trying to find companies that meet these sustainable metrics to work with? And so what are the challenges that you are facing? So Julio, when you mean when trying to find companies that meet these sustainable metrics, so are you talking about trying to select a company to purchase from?
Yeah, that's a super question because a lot of folks that I talk to, they may use vinegar and baking soda to clean with in their homes and really simplify things. But with the different health concerns that people have, they're always looking for solutions, and it's difficult because you have to vet every company to know exactly who you're buying from. So it takes a lot of digging. And then I talk to some folks that are, they buy one product over here, one product over here, one product over there. And that's really hard to manage all of those subscriptions or all of those orders. So it really is a challenge. And I think that when you can find a company like we have here, where you can get over 400 products and and trust that company, then you should do business there as much as you can. One, because of the ethics and the confidence that you can have in what they manufacture, but also because of the convenience and time, because we just, time starved is what we all are in different ways. But I think that like Angela was saying, it starts with, the ingredients label. one of the things on our site is a glossary of ingredients where you can look up a name that you don't know and find out what it's derived from. And so all the products that we put out are derived from natural ingredients, but some can be made from a synthetic ingredient and have the same name. So it really gets tricky. But you know, if you can find someone that you trust who endorses certain products, or you can find a company and do the homework on them and be comfortable with what they put out and how they represent themselves, then I would stick with those.
That's a really good answer. And boy, is it time consuming. And Julio, I bet you can actually really relate to this as you're trying to look at manufacturers and as you're purchasing raw materials for your own products and really trying to vet that manufacturer and also their suppliers, right? Because sometimes a manufacturer is an assembler where they're putting together the end product, or so wherever that manufacturer falls in that line. And when you're reading the manufacturer safety data sheets or the MSDS, you know, manufacturers of cleaning materials agree to disclose, I think it was 99% of ingredients and use 1% as proprietary. And more and more and more, and I don't know if I've just become a label reader over the last couple of years, but I have never noticed bioengineered ingredients before in my product labels. And the FDA really has no regulations. It's typically the FCC, which is weird, the Federal Communications, that has the rules on what do you call compostable, what do you call organic, what do you call natural. So there's very little laws to regulate this. And what is considered to be proprietary, what is bioengineered. And so typically we think of bioengineered as that we take something and say, I want to, instead of use pesticides, then maybe I'll use ladybugs but of course I can't get the ladybugs to stay still in my garden, but you know, we can then bioengineer a species, such as here in our North State, we grow a lot of rice. And the rice is constantly bioengineered to be more drought tolerant or to grow in certain temperatures of water, to be pest resistant. And all of those have really good merits for genetically modifying the rice. Yet, how far do we move away from its natural DNA? And how does that affect the body over time? And the consumer who eats that rice, or the bird, or the insect, right? And so all of the species that rely on that crop. So bioengineering is, you know, literally changing the structure, where, you know, biomimicry is really studying nature to see, well, how does nature do this? Which is more, it seems like what Melaleuca's mission is to understand what exists in nature today that is healing and aromatic and a very good cleanser. And it's funny how you brought up baking soda, because I keep thinking about that one slide that you had, like who's been bought out by who. Well, Arm & Hammer has been bought out by Unilever. And so, you know, I just keep watching that label to see what's going to be in there in the future. But so far, it just says baking soda. So
Yes, I can tell you I've moved away from that particular brand myself. But yeah, Bob's Red Mill might be a better choice. But yeah, you know, you hope that the labels are truthful. And then, you know, when companies are purchasing raw materials, do they have good quality control to check those products and make sure that they're getting what they're specifying?
For sure. You know, thank you, Christina, for asking this question. The Sustainability Management Association, it is a membership association, so you can link arms together with like-minded people that may be able to share their experiences with you on, you know, based off of what's happening in your own biology and what is going to work for your blood type and your genome. And each one of us is so unique. And so We are a certifying body for sustainability professionals. So we teach people what are the knowledge, skills, and abilities. So part of that is, blacklisted chemicals or gray listed chemicals. Blacklisted means that they're banned in, say, the United States, as a country will make a regulation, whereas gray listed is chemicals that are being phased out over time, and there will be a certain time frame where manufacturer will not be able to utilize that chemical any longer. So in the study guide, it does have many tips like that and resources to learn more. And so, yes, it's a compilation of many, many different topics. As you can imagine, sustainability touches everybody's job. It touches everyone's lifestyle. To think about what's really important to you. Maybe it's good health and longevity and happiness. And our mission statement is really about transforming leadership, about being able to be healthy and happy. And we truly believe that that's what's special about humanity. If I can share with you, I feel like, I'm South Korean, and I was adopted when I was 10 months old. And when I brought the topic up to Lee to do a webinar today, it is because I love America. I have so much freedom here, especially as a woman, to be able to decide where I wanted to go to college and if I wanted to go to college, and if the spouse that I might marry and the job that I would like to have. In my culture, that would be decided for me. And when I look at what makes America really special to me is that reaching across the aisle, that people working together to create good, and to be able to think about how are we able to continuously learn about, what we can do to improve our knowledge, and to look at all sides of a story as critical thinkers. And when I saw COVID in my own town, I said, why am I allowed to go shop at Walmart, but my boutique is closed? And they are getting feed and fined by public health. And I don't see, the Walmart greeter being feed and fined by public health because they were labeled essential. It really kind of woke me up to who were winners and losers during the lockdowns. And some people made a tremendous amount of money from the lockdowns. You either did really well or you really struggled. And that opened my eyes to something I wasn't willing to think about before. And because you may know my history is I've worked for corporate America for 20 years. And so, for me, since I became a teacher, I've really been exposed to a lot of entrepreneurs. And since I moved here to California, I've lived in communities where it's only entrepreneurship that makes your community thrive. We don't have giant employers. And it really has changed my outlook on what makes America special, is that anyone could be Sam Walton and start Walmart right out of the trunk of his car. And, if you wanted and you dreamed that you wanted to be as big as Walmart is today, right? And that dream is not for everybody. What your idea of success is what's going to make you happy. And that happiness also leads to health. And I truly believe that, our mind and our positive thinking and surrounding ourselves with wonderful people is how we are going to sustain these troubling times that we live in. What are your thoughts, audience? We don't want to do all the talking. Anybody want to just unmute and just jump in? What makes America special to you? Or businesses, or manufacturing in America, or entrepreneurship?
I think kind of like what you were touching on, just that freedom of choice to kind of be able to do, not really, do whatever you want, but just that freedom of choice, to choose between different options, right? As opposed to being forced to go down one particular path.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Enzo. And freedom of choice, I believe, is a human right. And under, the United Nations humanitarian rights, that freedom of choice should be a human right. and not just in America, but across the globe. And thank you very much for saying that, because it is something that we need to make sure we stand together and continuously voice that that is an important value that we never want to be taken away, right? When I look at freedom,
Absolutely.
you know, I looked at what I do. I first did an assessment of my lifestyle, and this was during COVID. And I'll be honest with you, my house had burned down in Paradise, California. We had just moved during the lockdown. We finally found someone to sell us their home, and we had to mail order everything, furniture, plates and forks and cleaning materials, and everything was closed, right? And we were doing everything online, and I started to realize that I could just put my money direct to the manufacturer. And I'm really big into buying USA made and you know, local as possible to, you know, look at where I want to buy my desk. Is that in California? Can I get it from someone in California? And so those are, it takes a lot longer to shop like that. It takes a lot longer. And just like Julio was saying, how do you make the time for that? Well, I decided to do that because it's important to me, and it's important for me to say, I want you to survive this. I want you to be a successful business owner, and I want to put my money and invest in you, right? Directly, right? And I don't need to buy your stock. I can buy your products. And so now I, you know, do like what we used to do. We go to the store, we look at what we want, and then we go to Amazon, go home and buy it on Amazon, right? Now I go to Amazon and I look at what I want, and then I find it on the manufacturer's website and I buy it from them. And it takes me longer, yes. And like what Lee is saying is that, boy, you know, you can buy your cosmetics and your makeup and your cleaning materials and your deodorizers and antiperspirants and all kinds of stuff all in one place. And so personally, I am going through a product list to see, you know, what is it, what's available. And so it is a wealth of information and knowledge. And what's really nice is that on the back end, they have a lot of their ingredient labels that you can 3D image, turn the bottle around, things like that. And so I encourage you guys to think about, you know, what's important to you, shop with your values. And that's the parallel economy, is to say, if we want our entrepreneurs and our SMEs to be here in the future, the small to mid-sized enterprises, we need to support them. And that is by saying, yes, we want to make sure that we have a parallel economy. What does the parallel economy mean to all y'all? Like, anyone want to share what that means to you?
Oh, y'all sounds like you're down here in the low country, Angela.
You know, I picked that up when I lived in Texas.
It works there too. Yeah.
And we say, use guys.
Right.
What do we say in California? Steve, what do we say in California, guys? Anyone from California? I don't even think we say you guys. It's very politically correct. Well,
Yeah.
the parallel economy, it is saying exactly, we the people switch. It is saying that, you know, we're not hating on, you know, these large brands. What we are saying is that, is there going to be a choice in the future? And we need to make sure we have that foundation now. And if we don't, we will not have choices. And so does that make sense, everyone? What most people define the parallel economy to say, as we move towards social credit scores being tied to your carbon footprint, being tied to your credit scores, under the new digital ID for our monetary system, will you be able to shop anywhere else besides the companies that they deem authorized or essential, as we saw during COVID? And so you can imagine it will be the same stores that you are going to be able to buy gas at, or things of that nature. And so if we have a parallel economy, we know a merchant where we might be able to go buy fresh food. I was just listening to a podcast right before a couple of meetings this morning where they literally were at a place in the Netherlands and they were 3D printing meat and then putting it on a sandwich. And they said, we bought it just to see what it was. They were like, we didn't eat it.
God, I hope not. Oh my goodness.
You know, but the whole
Well,
food.
yeah, and that brings up a good point because we have a unique opportunity working with the manufacturer to deal with a debt-free company. And there's so many barriers to entry for anyone in the U.S. to start a business, but to work with a debt-free company that you know is not going to sell out or isn't going to fold because of a recession, a depression, or super high interest rates. But one of the things that they did was vertically integrate their cattle. They had the founders a cattle rancher and decided to turn that in from a hobby into a business because that beef industry is also a monopoly with just 4 companies basically controlling 85% of the market. So they vertically integrated and were able to build a processing plant debt-free, which is kind of unheard of. People just don't even think of doing business that way, but that's what is going to make change for us in this country when the country stops relying on massive amounts of debt. But that's a story for another day. So vertically integrated, they control everything from the seed to the feed, the grass, and all through the process, and being able to have a humane system and a processing plant right on the ranch. So it's thinking through like what we've become accustomed to and how do we do things differently. So I think there's it's encouraging for all of us to know that there's actually companies that can execute in a more sustainable, more thought conscious way to provide something that's better for all of us.
Well said.
It's out there.
I just want to encourage anyone on the call to reach out to Lee, because if you're looking for a way to earn some income, and if you're looking for even a profession, reach out to Lee to be able to talk about, having an account. And so I really appreciate your time today, and thank you so much for connecting with me and being so welcoming. And Julio's asking for your contact information. And so if you go to wethepeopleswitch.com, you can fill out the contact right there. And I hope that it's really fun to see a lot of entrepreneurs on the call today to be able to reach out to one another and be able to create the parallel economy and link up arms. So I thank you very much for this presentation and for all that you're doing to encourage people to make the switch, Lee.
Well, thank you very much, Angela. It was great being with you all today. Hopefully it was something that created some thought and got the creative juices going for your own path in life. But it was really a pleasure. And it's been a joy to meet and talk with you too. So I look forward to continuing those conversations.
Yes, we will talk again. And thank you, Christina, for your chats. And hopefully you can see all those, Lee. Thank you very much for your presentation. And I will definitely be in touch. And anyone else here, please reach out to Lee if you have any further questions or would like to follow up and meet her as well. So you all have a great contact in your books now. And thank you for joining this webinar. And I wish you a wonderful day.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great day.